Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and as we are approaching Deepavali, we talk about light, and we all need light. We need light to move ahead in our lives. And sometimes the planetary positions also become a source of guiding us where to go, how to navigate what we do, etc. But more important, when Deepavali is coming, we decided to invite young astrologer Priya ji to this conversation. Priya ji, namaste, welcome.
Namaste, Ashok ji. Thank you so much for calling me, having me. I'm happy to be here.
And I would also mention for our viewers that you are spiritually oriented. And when we say spiritually oriented, you also follow Guru Amma. So there is a deep understanding of the Indian cultural tradition. Talk to me, what is the significance of Deepavali for you?
For me personally, of course, I grew up in India. I grew up in Mumbai, so I'm Maharashtrian. So we certainly celebrated. We would, I remember childhood, just the magic of waking up early in the morning and having a bath, and everything the air felt so sacred, even as a child. And then, of course, the crackers, we got to stay up late at night, which otherwise, as children, weren't allowed to stay up late. So you have this connection with it as a child growing up in India, and then now doing what I do, understanding the significance of it on a more cosmic level, spiritual level, it's has so much more meaning. And what is also beautiful is how the rishis, they gave us these little practices that we don't have to understand everything, we just have to celebrate it, enjoy it, and it brings that light. We get the benefit automatically.
Absolutely. And talking about light, when Lord Rama came back to Ayodhya, the way celebration took place, uh, every house was lit. So, as we know, Ram is not just Ram in the personal human form as walked on this earth, historically speaking, but Ram is that spirit which is everywhere. So, as you mentioned about cosmic cycle or the way cosmic pattern works, what was it that kindled your interest towards astrology and you started learning more about planets? And allow me also to add, in our age, there are some people who are skeptic about whether
Yeah,
there is a relationship between where is the planetary position and what is happening, because people think what I think and do shapes my destiny. Your take on
correct.
that?
Yes, and I'll answer both your questions. As far as how I started, my grandfather was a Jyotishi. I never met him. He had passed away before I was born. So I think somewhere it's in my blood, because I remember being a child and always being curious, about astrology and the planets. And my mother would always have Jyotishis over. She would like to ask or meet people. And I used to listen to them, and I used to think, and I remember being small and I used to be listening, and I used to be, I don't know, like, what astrology makes sense, but I don't know if he's saying the right thing. So I have to study it. तो तब से मेरे दिमाग में था कि नहीं, सीखना है, कुछ तो है इसमें. I have to understand what this is. So somehow that love was always there, and it just grew. And before I knew it, it became a profession. And I mean, your second question was, I'm sorry, please remind me.
Yeah, the second question was about the skepticism.
Skepticism, yes. So that was the other thing. I am probably one of the biggest skeptics, which again, it comes back to what my childhood, that same thought, right? Which is, okay, what this person is saying, I'm not so sure about. But there's something here. There's something there. So I have to study this. I may not trust you, but I trust myself. So I studied it. And so, what I say to skeptics about astrology, first of all, it's not necessary for anybody to study astrology. ऐसे कुछ नहीं है. You don't go to a doctor unless you're not well, then you go to the doctor. नहीं तो कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है जाने की, right? Even with astrology, it's the same thing. If everything is going fine, ठीक है. It's when we really don't have answers that
Here,
sometimes we
here,
see.
yeah. So here I will interrupt and I'll probably share variation or a slight disagreement.
Hmm.
Uh, those who believe, they think that even when things are going right, so
Right.
you may sort of have one more up level up.
You're
So
right.
here I
No,
bring
you're right, and I probably did not explain that correctly as well. So I maybe better way to explain it is this. I don't believe in astrology. I work with it. So I know this. I see the sunrise in the morning. Nobody has to tell me that even if you say it's night, I can see it's day. It doesn't matter what you say, right? Astrology is literally like that. I am working with the planets. So I am looking at the cycles of these planets. And it's not just me. Astrologers from the even if you don't believe in anything, from
let,
the
let,
time think
yeah,
of
let me clarify your sentence. And I know the context in which you said that I don't believe in astrology. You just said, and
I
somebody
work
just
with it.
did take,
Hmm.
if just they take that piece out of it, then they may misinterpret that here's an astrologer who is saying that I don't believe
No,
in
it's okay.
astrology.
They can take it out.
Okay,
They
that's right.
see that
Yeah.
is that's my point. In fact, it's healthy. I will encourage everybody to be a skeptic. Don't believe it. Don't believe what someone is telling you. Practice. See if it works for you. Very simple way is look at the new moon, which we call Amvasya, and we call and Purnima, which is full moon. Okay, very simple. Don't have to understand any other astrology. And that's why we have these festivals like Diwali. These are major astrological moments in the year.
How?
When so Deepavali, especially, like, and I'm not talking about Jyotish now, I'm practicing Western, I'm studying Jyotish. But Deepavali, those days surrounding Diwali is a new moon, first of all. So a new moon is always a time when we go, that's what I was about to say. Like new moon is new beginning, Amvasya. It's dark. You don't see the moon in the sky. So you have to go inside to find light, right? We're talking about light. At the time of a full moon, moon is full in the sky. So you'll feel high tide. Simple thing. Tides happen along with the moon, right? We are 90% water. Our body is made up 90% water. Our emotions are water. We are affected by these planetary movements. We are affected, whether you want to believe it or not. It is the fact. Then when you start to observe it, you start to see that, oh, yes, I am automatically, knowingly or unknowingly, moving in that same rhythm. Ultimately, universe is one. You are connected with everything in the world, planets or no planets. You know, we are connected with each other also in the same way. So the planets astrology is just one way of looking at life.
Okay, so talking about connections and talking about our relationship with time, and
Yes,
especially in the context of Deepavali, also we feel that this is a day which is going to bring a sense of newness, and of
yes,
course we have this tradition of cleaning the house, and
yes.
of course light is there, and you wear new clothes and all that. So how this time helps in sort of reinventing oneself? I think that was the core
Absolutely.
idea.
Absolutely. And I mean, in fact, I was looking at some of my notes, which I wanted to look at, but very simple level without even looking at the actual Deepavali notes, which I have some interesting notes for to share. This new moon, now, new moon is a time of new beginning. Think every month, new moon, then 2 weeks later we have full moon, then 2 weeks later we have new moon again. And then that cycle begins again, right? So every new moon, which once a year we call Mahashivratri, but every month there is the Shivratri when the moon, sun, and moon are together. That is a new beginning every month. Okay. But times like Deepavali, the stars, the nakshatras are aligned in a certain way where, like they say, Goddess Lakshmi is bestowing her grace on us, right? It's aligned with a particular star in the sky that is known to give wealth and abundance and prosperity. And we pray to this universe. So we pray to Goddess Lakshmi in the form of that star also.
Mhm.
So, and wealth is not just our material money wealth, right? We have spiritual wealth also, which they say if you pray to Goddess Lakshmi at this time, she'll destroy your eight poverties and to bring that real light consciousness within. So, if you want, I could tell you few of the significance of the days of Navratri. I mean,
No, Deepavali.
sorry, not Navratri, Deepavali. I'm
Right,
so
right.
sorry.
So uh, let's go to Deepavali. But before that, if I may ask you a question which is very, very frequently asked, and I think it will continue to sort of draw attention that relates to, some people say that everything is destined, and some people say that this is related to your past birth also. So
Right.
then, whatever you do, you feel that there is a straight jacket path, and come what may, I have to go that way. Some people say, no, you make your own destiny. And as an astrologer, how do you see these two sides?
Profound question, and it's the question that I keep pondering every day of my work. So, look, then if you think of Hindu philosophy, you think of Advaita. See, this fate and free will business is also the duality. Ultimately, there is only oneness. So there is only one consciousness, there's only one God, and that God is alive in all of us. It's hard for our brains to understand that. But that's why we're trying to, expand our, quiet the mind, expand our consciousness to have that
Yeah.
experience, right?
So Priyaji, when you're
So
talking
fate free
from,
will.
yeah,
Huh.
so when you're talking from a spiritual vantage or a spiritual point of view, then there is a different sensibility that is operating. Yeah.
Yes. And in Jyotish, like Jyotish is more fated, but they say that karma, some karma we can with remedies mitigate, lessen, okay, which is true. And then ultimately that's what sadhana does, right? Meditation or spiritual practice, Sama says it's like a raincoat. Some things in life we have to bear,
Mhm.
but having our spiritual practice makes us strong even in the face of adversity, where it would does not affect us that much.
Mhm. So, I'm just backtracking to the question which
Sorry.
many of our viewers might have, and
Mm,
when they hear, or rather, somebody, why should I say they, when I hear what you said from some saints or some
mm.
realized beings, etc., and in front of them, you feel, yeah, okay, there is a sense of oneness and everything is taken care of with God, etc. But you feel that, no, right now, my problem is, say, I don't have a green card, let's say, or
Hmm.
my husband or my wife is not in sync, there's lack of harmony, or
Correct.
I need X amount of dollars and I'm not getting it. So these kind of the problems take precedence over that idea of oneness and God takes care of everything. So he said, okay, okay, that is fine. But Priya,
But
tell
what
me
about
how, yeah, what is this? Yeah, yeah.
see? Yeah, okay. I have two answers. I mean, I have two
Yeah.
layers to this, right?
Mhm.
On the one hand, we are think of this present moment is all that exists. There's no past, there is no future. This present moment is all that exists, right?
Allow
So,
me to sing this song, Jo bhi hai, yahi ek pal hai. That is Hindi film song, yeah.
right? Exactly.
Mm.
So even when we are predicting astrology, and this I wish more astrologers understood this, you know, you have to be so careful because I'm not just predicting, I am also creating the future in a way, right? It is a seed, it is a thought. In all these, the planets are moving in whatever, no two moments are alike. Planets are always moving. So it's always a shifting picture. I can say, okay, Saturn is here, that tabhi, these are the things that happen. But it's not always that Mars is in the same position. That's why astrology is so hard to like make a controlled experiment of, because the planets are never in the same position. So fate and free will, to a certain extent, we don't know. Okay. What about my real life problems? Yeah, you can look at astrology, you can look at some remedies, you can say, one thing you can say is that everything passes. So whatever problem you have, it's a matter of time. It comes down to time ki abhi ke liye, one good thing is you can say, okay, this, how long is this period going to last? So then at least in that sense, ki it's raining, it's monsoon season, तो 3 महीने तो बारिश पड़ेगी. At least somewhere how to manage or navigate that, or you're prepared for it, or if I can see ki are you're coming into a very good time now, but you're sitting at home and opportunities outside, so there's it's understanding what the landscape is, what the weather
Absolutely. Yeah.
is,
So,
and then
Priya,
you.
yeah. So, jumping to something which is quite important and relevant, and there was a reference of Saturn you were mentioning, and even now laymen through YouTube, etc. I mean, I
What's
also
happening?
hear that there has been some shift in the position of
Yes,
Saturn on the. So, how that affects the world at large?
it does. So yesterday Saturn station direct, just yesterday, Shani is the most, Shani is the planet of time, of time itself, and time destroys everything, right? Time is
Slowing and creates everything also.
creates everything also, right? So if you're talking about the world, yeah, you'll just have to observe what's happening in the news, but you will see that the changes that are happening now will be lasting changes. See, Saturn will bring has a 30-year cycle. So one way to look is look at what was happening in the world 30 years ago. Very simple. You'll see every 30 years you'll have similar themes that will come back around. So it's like humanity at large, we are all getting a chance to learn. Saturn teaches lessons. Saturn is the planet that speaks of our mortality, that rite of passage of birth and death. See, life is immortal, but this material plane is the plane of Saturn, which is the plane. Saturn is the planet of, they say karma, suffering, all of these things. But ultimately, Saturn will humble you so it can elevate you.
So, based on your reading, what we are witnessing at the moment, and some people are kind of concerned that the tension, or rather, full
Hmm.
blown war at Gaza,
Yeah.
Israel, and then that is still continuing, Ukraine, Russia, etc. Is it leading the world towards world war, or will it subside based
Okay.
on general perception
My
that you have?
observation.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have something to say, and I will preface it by saying I'm not a mundane astrologer. So there are astrologers who focus, study world patterns, that is not my general focus. And I don't follow politics. That is also my personal thing. But I mean, something like this is you can't avoid, no? It's not politics, it's humanity. It affects all of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And given my astrological study, I can tell you that the it's almost like this had to come up right now, because it's got by 2027 will be a big marker in this all of this. Now that feels like far away, 3 years away, but it's a big mess. So that said, in the immediate future, look at what comes up around Diwali, because there are aspects taking place at the time of Diwali. And one of the things, I actually did a talk earlier today with someone. Do not, the way the planets are right now, it's easy to feel ki, what am I? I am insignificant in this big thing. No, you are not insignificant. You have power, and don't underestimate your power. In fact, at the time of this Diwali, I will say that there are things that are coming up that are unexpected. But I truly believe, and I will pray and I will hope that there is change coming. Whether it's, don't underestimate the power of one person to spark that wave of change. It always starts with one person, you know, and then it gathers momentum. So, what's happening Diwali to the end of the year, December, and then end of January, even, the world is changing and things are shifting. Like people are getting more, affected, realizing that this is not okay.
So now
So,
I request you to elaborate when you say that everybody has power, how
yeah,
they can exercise their power for their own benefit as well as for the benefit of the world at large.
absolutely. See, you start with yourself, na? Start with yourself. We can't change the world, But there are so many, they say Diwali, one of the main things is to let go of our Shadripus, the six enemies: anger, greed, jealousy, lust. What's the other one? Uh, what are the last two? Anger, greed, jealousy, lust.
I
Um,
remember it in Hindi, which is Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh, Dam, Durbhav.
exactly,
Basically, yeah.
exactly. So if we can even make that change, it's a big thing. Forget changing the world. Can we even do that in our little lives? And that power is, it's not insignificant, because you don't know how one thing you say, touches someone in some way, they take it on.
So, what I would interpret in my words, Priya is saying is that you have the power to spread love and harmony wherever you are through your words. So, be careful what you say to people around you. Don't put them down. Help them sort of uplift their spirit.
Yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and uplift your spirit also, because think there is God inside you. When we are when we we are so hard on ourselves. Forget other people. We are so hard on ourselves. We don't, we're very critical of ourselves. We don't even forgive ourselves for our mistakes. So
So when you say we are hard on ourselves, I'm reminded of another unfortunate thing which happens in America, in India, and elsewhere also. But of late, we started listening more about mental health, and of
hmm,
course, when that balance is lost, some people end up taking their own lives, committing
very
suicide.
sad.
So, um
It's very sad.
American president also talked about it, and does it also have something to do with planetary position? I mean, more and more people getting into this sort of depressed state.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Like, look, yes, I can see it reflected in the planets also. Okay, but the planets are just planets now. Ultimately, it's that we are alive now. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. Like, that's where fate and free will comes in. You know, we always have that little spark. Like, even in the Mahabharata, Gita, I'm not that I'm any expert, but even then, Krishna told Arjuna, okay, I have given you all that you need to know. Now you make that choice. It's not, I cannot make that choice for you.
Mhm.
So
So,
depression and stuff, yes, it can happen when we are looking, like, look at the world we live in, especially in this country in America. Like, people are so disconnected, isolated. They're not connected with their spirituality, and so they feel more isolated. When you're connected with God or spirituality or inside whatever, when you feel that sense of connection, you don't feel so alone. Then you don't feel so depressed.
very good. So, as we are moving towards the concluding part of our conversation, one near Deepavali, it is important to remember that this is a day which brings a lot of positive energy, as well as this itself is known as a festival of light. So, there's a lot of light, light, and let us express or manifest the light within. Uh,
Yes.
I want to conclude with a small question. That is, when you started becoming more spiritually aware. So
Yeah.
there is that element of intuitive understanding, and there
Yeah.
is one which is technical and sort of academic understanding of astrology. How
Yes.
both of them overlap in coming up with the predictions for you?
I think it's a good question and very important, because ultimately, technically, everybody can has the same data. Why is one astrologer more accurate than the other? And that's where that spirituality comes in, or that intuition comes in. So that's also a muscle. That yes, some people are more gifted than others, but when we meditate, when we do those spiritual practices, it comes to us. And maybe not everybody will be an astrologer and be predicting, but your intuition will guide you in your life. It will say, go there, come here, call this person in
And
subtle
somebody,
ways.
absolutely. So, on that note, as we conclude this conversation, thank you, Priya ji, with lots of good wishes for you as well as for our viewers, and happy Deepavali.
Yes,
One advice
yes.
uh, in terms of what one should observe, especially on this Deepavali day, from you, Priya ji.
From me, as in, what would I advise people to do?
Light lamp, of course.
Yeah, of course. So wake up before sunrise, take a shower, wash your hair, light a lamp. Amma says any kind of Lakshmi puja is really good, along with chanting the Samputita Sri Suktam. It's very good to offer food, milk, fruit, sugar to the Sri Chakra or any image of Lakshmi while chanting Samputita Sri Suktam. You can offer, of course, any naivedya, sweets, right? In the evening, again, 6 p.m., or again, maybe midnight, if you can do Lakshmi Aarti, same thing. That's very auspicious. And finally, she says offer Aarti with 8 ghee lamps, because that will, Ma Lakshmi will destroy your 8 poverties.
Wonderful.
And
And I will chant Lakshmi Gayatri, which is Om Mahalakshmi Cha Vidmahe Vishnu Patni Cha Dhimahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayat. So happy Deepavali to you, Priyaji, and
happy
lots and lots of
Diwali.
wishes.
Happy Diwali, everybody. And yeah, if anyone wants to find me, they can find me priyakale.com.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.